Hey, what's up? It's Carmen Chloe of Single Married Widow. And if you're watching this video, you're probably a widow and you're probably trying to figure out how to survive widowhood with kids. And if that's you, let me ask you, are you trying to figure out how exactly do you survive widowhood with kids? It's one thing to become a widow and then you have kids on top of that. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how exactly do you survive widowhood with the children. That's like another layer of just stuff to deal with. We're going to call it stuff. So for those of you who don't know me, for those of you who are new to my channel, I want you to stop what you're doing right now and I want you to subscribe to my channel, number one. Number two, I want you to like this video. And I'm Carmen Chloe. I am a recently widowed mom of two. I have been a widow for about 5.5 months now, or what's today? I think today is the 12th. So in 4 days, on the 16th, it'll actually be 6 months that I have been a widow, and it does not seem like it has been that long. And I used to tell my late husband all the time, I used to be like, oh my God, Zachariah, his name was Zachariah. I used to be like, oh my God, Zachariah, time is an illusion, because it was like time just went like that. And we would always talk about that, and he'd be like, oh my God, it's March already, like the year is gonna be over already. So to just be saying the words out of my mouth that I've been a widow for 6 months and just thinking about the reality of him not being here, it really trips my mind out. But we lost him in December 16, 2018. He left me with two beautiful daughters, and we are figuring out life after death. We're figuring out life after death. I don't want to say we're figuring out our new normal, because I feel like the term new normal is just overused in the widow community. But we've been learning. We've been growing. We have been embracing this journey. Initially, I went through the shock phase and the phase of being numb and paralyzed and just like, is this really, really real? And even 6 months down the line today, although I've transitioned into a different phase of accepting the fact that he is gone and he's not coming back, I still have days where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe Zachariah died. But that's an entirely different video. So today we're going to be talking about, I'm talking to all my moms, my widowed moms. How exactly do you survive widowhood with kids? You're going through your grief process. You're going through those days of like not wanting to be bothered, not eating. For me, I lost about 15 pounds when my husband passed away. I'm already a naturally petite girl. So for me to lose 15 pounds, it was like, sis, you need to eat something. You need to sit down and eat. But I know some people, when they're dealing with stress or trauma, they either eat a lot or they don't eat at all. For me, I shut down. I don't want to eat anything. I don't want to drink anything. I just don't want to do anything. So that was me. I lost about 15 pounds just going through the whole process. And it's like when you're in a stage of like you're not even taking care of yourself to the point to where you don't want to eat, and then you have other little people that are depending on you, it could cause an additional layer of stress. And I just thank God that I had people around me. Like I think it was like the first 2 nights, my girls and I, we were alone in our apartment after he passed away, and it was just super uncomfortable and sad, and just that feeling of like, I don't know, I can't describe it. If you're a widow and you're watching this and you had to live in the place where your husband once lived with you all and he passed away, then you know the feeling I'm talking about, like that initial feeling of like just, I don't know, denseness, that feeling of like a huge void that's just gone, and just that feeling of like uncomfortableness. Like it just felt so unnatural those 2 nights that we had to stay in the apartment without him being there, because he was our protector. He was our provider. Like that's, we got a sense of security when he came home, when he came in at night. So we didn't have that anymore. It was missing. But I thank God that shortly after I had people that were able to come in town. My mom came in town, of course, to support me and to be there for me. And then I had different people checking on me that were in the city and state that we were in. But just that initial phase, it was kind of like it was difficult for me to take care of myself. So I was thankful for the support system that came, and they were able to make sure that my children ate and that they had what they needed, because I just was in no mental capacity to even be thinking about that at the time. So I just want to give you some tips. If you're a new widow and you're watching this video and you're trying to figure out like what the hell do I do with my life now? Our protector, our provider is gone. My best friend is gone. My other half is gone. Like the person that I, check with and run things by and get the second opinion from, no matter if we're in a good phase or a bad phase. Like you just have that extra support, and that extra person is now gone. And I have these little people that are dependent on me, so I can't break down. I can't shut down. I can't be in the bed all day, every day, shutting myself out from the world, because I have other people that are depending on me, and I'm alive and I have to live. Like, how do I do that? So I'm no expert or anything, but I just want to give you some tips on things that have helped me to get into a flow of survival and of healing, and of even entertaining the thought of thriving again as a widow. So number one is, don't be hard on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself if you don't feel like feeding the kids. Don't be hard on yourself if you've been giving the kids fast food for the past 2-3 months and you don't feel like cooking. Don't be hard on yourself. Number two, give yourself a break from your kids if you can. I know in the beginning for me, like, I couldn't part ways with my kids. Like, I had some of my in-laws who asked if, because my husband died right before Christmas, I had some of my in-laws ask if they could keep my daughters over the Christmas holiday. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. We're all sleeping in the bed together, cuddled up, hugging each other, holding on for dear life. Like, absolutely not. They cannot stay with you. But when you get to a point to where you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling like, oh my God, can y'all stop asking me for food? Can you stop asking me for snacks? Can you stop fussing and fighting? Where you get to that point where you need a break, give yourself a break if it is feasible. If you have friends and family in your space that you trust enough to watch your kids for a little while, or if they're in school, or if they can go to daycare or something like that, give yourself that mental break to be able to sit and to be able to process and to be able to just be and to focus on you as a person and an individual, and not having to focus on you as mommy or you as widow. Number three is support the kids however they grieve or they process. Every child goes through a different grieving phase. My children have yet to cry, except for my youngest one. She cried one time, and that was when we came home from the hospital, and she was kind of processing in her 4-year-old brain. She's now 5, but she was processing like, well, wait a minute, like, daddy's dead. Like, we left him at the hospital. And she asked me, she said, well, who's going to be our new daddy now? And it broke my heart. And I was like, baby, like, you're not going to get a new daddy. Daddy will always be your daddy. But he has gone on to heaven. So my children have not cried. My oldest, she is super quiet and super private, like my husband was. He wasn't big on words, and she's the same way, but she's also an artist. So I watched her art and I watched her writing after he passed away, and she wrote him a letter. She was painting pictures of him with angel wings, and I was like, okay, at least she is expressing herself and emoting. My other one, my youngest baby, she was 4 at the time. She couldn't stop saying, "Daddy died." Mommy, well, if you would have took him to a different hospital, would daddy have died? Like, I can't believe daddy died. Daddy died, daddy died, daddy. That's like all she was saying. And my oldest was getting irritated, and she would say to my baby girl, can you stop saying that? Can you just stop talking about it? So for my oldest, it was like she wanted to process and grieve through her artwork and express herself through her art and her writing. And then my youngest, since she's at that age where it's either black or it's white, she kept talking about it because that's all she could do. So however your child is grieving, let them grieve in that way. And if you can get them into some type of therapy, if they're ready, then you can do that. I've heard people say wait about 6 months before you put them into therapy. My children have had about 2 therapy sessions when we were in the state that we were in before. They haven't had any therapy sessions since we moved to the state that we're in temporarily. I'm going to wait until we go back home to our previous state before I get them into any type of counseling or what have you. So embrace your child in whatever area they're in terms of their grieving and how they're processing it. Number 4 is journaling. journal, sit down and journal, write down your thoughts, write down your feelings, write down your frustrations, write down your angers. Try to write as often as possible because it's cathartic, it's therapeutic, it's going to help you to get those things out that you may not want to say to anybody else. It's going to help you to get those things out that you didn't have a chance to say to your spouse. And let your children journal and draw pictures as well. Number 5 is art therapy. Art therapy is really great for children because it doesn't put them in a space of like having to process and communicate their feelings in an adult way or in a way that they simply don't know how to do yet. So encourage them to do some art, to paint some pictures, to talk about daddy and remember daddy in that way. Number 6 is to embrace all emotions as they come. I never stop my tears when they're flowing or when they're coming. Like if my children are in the room, I don't stop my tears or try to not cry because they're in the room, because I never want to teach them that it's not okay for them to cry. I never want to teach them that it's not okay for them to embrace whatever emotion that they're feeling at the time. I was raised that way, and I don't want to raise my children that way because I think it's very unhealthy. So I want them to have I want them to be emotionally healthy, and I want them to know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to wonder, like, God, what happened? Like, you know, why did he die so young? It's okay. So I have learned to embrace my emotions at any given time. I may be on a live video and I may just start crying, and that's okay because I'm human and I have feelings and I have emotions, and I'm not going to like try to stop my emotions and try to pretend like this wonderful, amazing person didn't exist and didn't leave us far too soon. Number 7 is to protect your space and be unapologetic about it. Protect your space. If there are some people that you have had to revoke their access to your life and to your children's life, that's okay. You're in a point to where you have to make sure that your space is clear and that your space is protected for you and your children. Nothing matters at this point besides you and your children, your sanity, your health, your emotional health, your mental health, your spiritual health. So protect your space at all costs and don't apologize for it. If you have to cut some people off for a season, do that and don't apologize for it. So those are my 7 tips for how to survive widowhood with kids. My name is Carmen Chloe. I have created a safe space for widows. If you go to singlemarriedwidow.com, you'll get access into that space. It's a private Facebook community. I will verify that you actually are a widow so that we can protect the sacredness of the space. And then I also have for the widows that feel like they may be ready, I have a 6-day healing challenge to kind of facilitate the journey of even thinking about healing, although I think healing is a lifelong process, but to facilitate the process of getting to a place to where you're actually ready to live life again and even think about thriving again. So again, this is Carmen Chloe. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, share it if you got value, and I'll see you on the inside of the group. Peace.